Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another event recap video. In today's video, we are going to go over the San Diego Regional as well as the Rockford, Illinois LCQ. We're going to go over these events, guys. I am running on very limited information, so please do bear with me. I don't have the normal amount of information I normally have. I don't have the full top cut breakdowns, but I am going to talk about the format, how it's shaping up, and I'm going to talk about a few first place decks. So please, again, do bear with me, doing the best I can. But yeah, thank you guys for your patience. So that being said, guys, before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with awesome Dragon Ball Super content that I post here. If you're looking for a Dragon Ball Super community to get in touch with, make sure to use the Discord in the description below. Excellent group of people, excellent community. If you guys want to help support the channel, there's a few things you can do. You can check out the Patreon in the description below. Really helps the channel out a lot, and you get a lot of competitive content on there, my competitive articles. And finally, guys, if you want to buy any of the cards that are shown in this video, if you want to help build the decks that are in this video for your own playtesting pleasure, make sure to use my TCG player link in the description below. Really helps the channel out a lot, guys. Really appreciate every single one of you guys watching these videos and doing that for me. With that being said, we're gonna get right into this. So we've got the Rockford LCQ. Rockford, a town about an hour out of Chicago, where Nationals for the Dragon Ball Super card game, the second year of Nationals, will be held. We had a small LCQ. Now, as far as I know, this was a 2-day event, but not like your typical 2-day event. It wasn't like, you know, play out Swiss day 1 on Saturday and then play out Top Cut on Sunday. It was 2 separate kind of like mini regionals, 2 mini LCQs, 1 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So, like I said, guys, unfortunately, I don't have the full top cut breakdowns, but I do have the first place from the first day of the LCQ, and that was Porunga Ramp, which you're seeing right here on the screen right now. So I figured we'll go through the deck a little bit and talk about it, because as far as I know, on both days of the LCQ, Porunga Ramp really did kind of take the rails, take the event by storm. There was a lot of Shenron Ramp as well. Really just a lot of Shenron and Porunga in the entire room. So let's go over this list. I think it's a pretty interesting list. So we got our typical 2 Kaokens, 2 Gogeta Hero Revives. Very typical. Now, one thing I should talk about probably before that is the difference between the Dragon Ball Porunga leader and the Shenron leader. So Porunga and Shenron offer you a few different things. Shenron gives you the ability to turn any threat into a triple attacker. So that basically gives you a bigger ability to end games. But Porunga really takes the idea of Shenron Ramp and really kind of stretches it out, gives it more flexibility, because that ulti gives you an additional boss monster on the board. So I talked about this in the video before, but I'll kind of recap on it again. The reason that Porunga, or Shenron Ramp in general, had to become what it is instead of the typical Shenron Gogeta is because a deck like Toa is really good at handling 1 boss monster per turn. If you're only putting out a Gogeta on turn 4, you're not going to be reliably able to give that thing triple attack and then go in on the Toa. So this type of, you know, I guess you can call it Dragon Ball Ramp because it's 2 different leaders. Dragon Ball Ramp kind of evolved into what it is because it can put out multiple boss monsters on like average turn 5, turn 6. And when you do that, you have a better time killing Toa. You turn your bad matchup into a much more winnable matchup. So now, what I said before was that Shenron can give anything triple attack, make it a game-winning threat, but Porunga lets you go that extra mile and get that 3rd boss monster out. Because if you're on 8 energy, you use 2 world pieces, or maybe you Senzu Bean to get some energy back up on 7 energy, whatever the case may be. You double world piece, you still have a leader ulti available, you get that 3rd boss monster out there. Now let's say you world piece a Gogeta 7, rip their hand at 3, let's say you world piece a Kaioken, and before you use its effect, let's say you use your leader ulti to get out a 2nd Kaioken, you can use one of the Kaiokens to get yourself down to 1 life, and both those Kaiokens are going to trigger to gain triple strike dual attack because they both recognize at the same time that you've reached 1 life. So that's a whole ton of pressure right there, and the Porunga leader lets you get that extra mile. Now, is it win more? Maybe that's like a debate to be had, but obviously it did very well this weekend. So we'll go through the list. Like I said, we have the 2 typical Kaokens and Gogetas, 2 Jocko, very interesting main deck tech. Now it is blue, so of course you want to charge mostly blue in this type of strategy, but this is a really great card against U6, which is a tougher matchup for the deck. The deck, whether it's Shenron or Porunga Ramp, has a bit of a hard time with aggro, so being able to prevent those combo into plays from happening, really strong. 3 Whis, and then the 3 Super Saiyan Trunks for the ramp. Now there is an OTK with Trunks and Kaioken on turn 5 that I was made aware of. I haven't actually played this in this deck a little bit more recently, but what you do is on a given turn you world piece the Trunks on, like, let's say your 6 energy turn. You get that extra energy, you get that draw, you go to 7, world piece Kaioken. If you have the 4-drop Figure of Majesty out, you can go through 6 life with the Kaioken, you know, dual attack, triple strike, and you know, obviously rip all the good cards out of their hand, and then you have the double strike of the Trunks to go in for game. So that's a little combo right there for you guys. Then 2 with the Fusion Gogeta, 1 Beerus, General of Demolition, another good combo with the Kaioken Goku. If you get them to 0 cards in hand, you get to start destroying their energy and pretty much lock them out of play in the game. So even if you don't kill them right then and there, you pretty much, you know, seal the deal right then and there. 1 Purunga, very interesting because he decided to main deck 2 Jocko. I would imagine the second Purunga would be very important just for that U6 matchup, but I guess, you know, I guess it worked out pretty well for him. 2 Figure Majesty, pretty standard. The super combos, then we have Zeno Button, another very interesting pick. You do have a ton of 10Ks in this deck, so it makes sense that you'd want to ready up some energy for some extra defense. Then we have the Goku Oob Secret Rare. This is kind of interchangeable with Victory Strike. This is definitely the more budget-friendly version, but honestly, Victory Strike's really good in the format right now. Between Toa, between Janemba, this is a very, very good pick. But the Oob Secret Rare, definitely very good against Rogue and very good against other random strategies out there. Now we go to the extra card lineup. So Dragon Ball lineup, we've got 1 1-star, 1 Super Dragon Ball, and the 5 regular. This is pretty much standard from what we've been seeing along the lines of the Dragon Ball ramp decks. You really want that Super Dragon Ball and the 1-star ball because all these boss monsters, all these thick boys in your hand, you really want them in the drop area, and you don't always want to rely on comboing them. You want to naturally, you know, see cards and put them in the drop area without negging too hard needlessly. 4 Senzu Bean, 4 Weeks Coercion, standard. The 4 Objection, this can go between 4 and 3, but 4 is definitely extra consistency. The 1 Unexpected Turn, another piece of U6 hate, very teched to beat its bad matchup, which I like about this deck a lot. The 2 Dragon Radar, the 4 World Piece, need them. You absolutely need the Dragon Radar to beat Janemba. You need to be able to get those World Pieces back and recycle them. Otherwise, it's going to be a very tough matchup. So we'll go look at the sideboard real quick. 1 Mafuba, just for big random things that you need some Mafuba. Then the 1 Son Goku, Striving to be the Best. So a lot of 1-ofs here. Now, this Striving to be the Best is very good against things like Skillless, very good against things like Shenron U6, because they have to attack with 2 drops to get their combo into plays on the board. Regular U6 decks don't necessarily have that problem because they can attack with the leader, but you need those types of things against Shenron U6, which is a very explosive deck. Another Unexpected Turn. 3 Danger Journey Bulma, looks like his sideboard for Janemba alongside Dragon Radar. The 2 Power Burst for some extra negates, maybe against aggro as well, but maybe against things that just go kind of tall. Power Burst is pretty high value. 2 Toa Dimension Leaper, the Revenge Blocker. 2 Crisis Crusher. I always find it funny when Crisis Crusher is not in the main deck of a Shenron deck, but I thought about it. This format, Crisis Crusher in the main is not super important because if you look at the big decks, if you look at Shenron Ramp, Janemba, Toa, and U6, Crisis Crusher doesn't really do anything in those matchups, so it makes sense to sideboard it for your random things with the 1-drop crit attackers. You do need it for those types of things. Then we have the 2nd Purunga in the sideboard and the 1 Fu Shrouded in Mystery. I think this is like a good card to put in the main deck because it's really going to be your top end in a lot of situations. Like if you can't ramp necessarily high enough, or you know, you just use that leader ulti, bring back a big boy, and then you bring out the Fu Shrouded, I think that's very strong. But nonetheless, this deck found this player a lot of success, so I can't knock it. I think this is a very solid list. Like I said, I do like how it's teched to beat its bad matchups. Seems very strong overall. We'll talk about day 2 for a second. My boy Tyler Rice getting 1st place with Broly U6. That's super awesome, man. Luckily, he was able to get his invite at Gen Con, which was dope, but awesome to still see you get 1st place at this LCQ. Broly U6 really seeming like it's settling in as the aggro deck of the format. Typical U6, whether it's Kaba, Hit, whatever the case is, typical U6 is still very aggressive, but you have a lot of elements of control. Broly U6 kind of trades those in just for those extra attacks with Mira Champa. Going in with the U6 engine and the Broly leader, I think it's probably the best aggro deck you can play this format if you are a pure aggro player. Hopefully I'll be able to get some of these guys on the channel with their deck profiles and player interviews, but you know, we'll have to see what happens with that. I did contact these guys. Hopefully they get back to me and want to do that kind of thing. I also want to shout out for day 2 Ricky Cox for getting 2nd place with his own version of Purunga Ramp. I definitely think we're getting him on the channel. He's actually a patron of mine. We've been working a lot on his gameplay, on his game, and it's been going really well. So I'm very proud of Ricky for getting 2nd place at the 2nd day of the LCQ at Rockford. Now, we have to talk about San Diego. And again, guys, really sorry I don't have the entire top 16 breakdown, but I do have a good bit of information, so we're going to talk about it. What you're looking at here is the 1st place list. This might not be the 1st place list card for card. Again, working on super limited information. Unfortunately, the deck list didn't go out the day of the event, which is what typically happens, but not in this case. But we're working with what we got. So this is the Broly Height and Mastery build, or at least something close to it, that my teammate Marcus Cantarsi played and got first place with at the event, which just shout out to Marcus, man. You are an awesome player. I'm so honored to be on your team, man. Great job getting your second big W at a regional. So awesome. So we've got a few of the top cut lists, a few of the top cut decks rather. We don't have the entire top 16, but I'm going to tell you guys what got into the top 16. So at least one Skilless, one Shenron, one Toa, one Gogeta Red BR, one Baby, which actually made it to the finals, interestingly enough. We'll talk about that later. One Yellow Broly Head of Mastery, one U6 Broly, one Clash Coup, one Hurrigar, and one Janemba. This is such a diverse top 16, and I don't even have all the decks. This is only 10 of the different decks that are in this top 16. At least 10 different leaders. Again, a super diverse format. You can play so many different things and see success in this format. Probably one of the greatest formats we've seen of all time. Now, going back to the last event, going back to Orlando, I mentioned a comment that I saw where people said, you know, just because the format's diverse doesn't mean it's healthy, because if you have things like Shenron, like Janemba, like Toa, this and that, that's not necessarily healthy because you have a lot of, I guess you can say, non-interactivity, right? So the thing with that is, if you have that, maybe it's not the healthiest format out there. Maybe that format is a bit of a problem because of how uninteractive the decks are. But nonetheless, this list I just read off to you guys, super diverse, a lot of interactive decks, a lot of strong decks. You can play a ton of things this format and have a lot of success. So talking about Marcus's deck list, again, this is something pretty close to what he played, not the exact list, but Yellow Broly Head of Master, we kind of came together as a team and said, hey, this deck has a great shot right now. Victory Strike seems really, really strong in the format. Like I said before, against Janemba and Toa, it's absolutely incredible. Victory Strike is awesome. Just getting there sometimes can be a bit tough with all the counterplays. But then you have things like Shenron Ramp, where this deck can go super aggressive against. And then U6, you have to just outlast them. You got to Nimbus them at the appropriate times. You got to, you know, Swift Retaliation Cooler at the right times, which is funny enough. Let's go through the deck list real quick. 4 Successor of Hope, 2 Universe 7 Rep just to find Victory Strike. Again, Victory Strike super important in this tournament. Then we have the Mutaitos, their Negate package, your Swap package. Then you have 2 Nimbus, 1 Bloodlust. So a lot of extra cards, a lot of defensive extra cards. The 1 Bloodlust, the 2 Nimbus, 3 Time Magic, the 1 Restrain. Caulifla, Troublemaker of U6. People need to realize is a splashable yellow card that 1 Self-Awakens and 2 taps your opponent's energy. That is super strong. Very, very strong card, especially in an untapped 2 leader where you can basically, you know, ready your entire energy and keep going in after you tap them out. The super combo, the rest of the swap package, so you have Dependable to go aggro. You've got Intrepid Dynasty Gohan to protect your chain. Then we have Gin for more aggression and mill. Then we have the classic Mira Champa combo. This is really starting to become bread and butter with the Yellow Broly leader. If you're playing Yellow Broly in some capacity, whether it's U6 or Height of Mastery, you really need to be playing the Mira Champa combo. It just wins you so many games when you don't get to go into your height package. And against Yellow, it's hard to go into the height package because of things like Mutaito and Champa the Trickster. The 4 Path to Greatness, you really want to try and get this down turn 2, just so you can avoid things like Denial of Hope, things like Panther Strike, and the Source of Power for going aggro against Shenron decks when you need to be. Also good against Toa as well if you can't go for the Victory Strike. Then we have Swift Retaliation Cooler. Now, I know this was an MVP card for Marcus throughout the weekend. Just going Mira, Swing, 3 energy, negate with the Swift Retaliation Cooler. And then throw a Champa on that Mira is just super duper clutch. And then, of course, Big Boy Victory Strike and Height of Mastery. Marcus did win against Vegeta Baby in the finals, which in my opinion is actually a tough matchup for this deck because we've seen in past formats where Red has a really good Height of Mastery matchup because all you have to do, especially in Vegeta Baby, is hold your Awaken, which you control because your leader self-awakens. Then you go, you know, Revenge Death Ball, ideally 2 Revenge Death Balls on the Height of Mastery. It's a 5k attacker for the rest of the turn, and they're not really going to kill you through that. So, again, want to shout out Marcus for pulling out that W. Now, again, guys, takeaways from this video. I'm sorry, again, I know I don't have the full top 16 breakdowns for these events, but a few takeaways here. You can play anything, and if you have high proficiency with a deck, I can almost guarantee you're going to do well and see success with that deck. This is a deck that Marcus has played for so long now. Like, think back to like Super Shenron Height of Mastery where he won. I think that was a San Diego Celebration. Wow, back-to-back to San Diego. That's pretty dope. So just think about it. Like, if you're really, really high proficiency with a deck, I really believe you can do really well with it this format. So I just want to leave you guys with those parting words. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's not what I usually do, but I got to stop saying that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.